Hey guys, how's it going? This is Ken and I'm showing you today how to do cinematic footage with your Insta360 ONE X2. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so let's go over some settings that you need to do before you start shooting anything with your Insta360 ONE X2. So what you're going to do is just go straight into the app here. Once you go straight into the app, you are going to change some settings within the app. Now, I haven't really found too many abilities to be able to change the settings within the actual camera itself. So what you're going to have to do is just go into here and make sure you choose log when you go into settings for videos, because if you're on Vivid, you don't really get too much of a actual chance to do too much color grading after in post. So what you want to do is just hit that, go to log, and now you're shooting in log. Now you're supposed to be able to get a little bit better of some footage when you are doing this. So 30 frames per second isn't really the cinematic standard that you want. For natural movement, when you're not doing any slow motion, what you want to do is go into the 5.7K 24 frames per second. This is going to give you natural motion blur if you put an ND filter on. The reason why we put an ND filter on this is because when you are shooting in a bright day like today, the sun just covered up the sun, so that's perfect timing. Thank you very much. But anyways, you are going to have to change your settings when it comes to your shutter speed. Your shutter speed should be the 180-degree rule or double the frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, you should be at 1/48, but most cameras do 1/50. So they haven't really put that 1/48 in some cameras. So what you're gonna have to do is go into here, go into this manual mode, and then the screen's gonna get super bright. So I'm kind of recording this right now on my phone as a screen cap, so you're gonna see it somewhere on the screen here. But anyways, what you're gonna have to do is ISO, you wanna keep it as low as possible. Now what you see here on the screen here is SEC, this is your shutter speed. Your shutter speed, like I said, should be double your frame rate. So 1/50 should be what you're at. So now we're just gonna hit 1/50, sorry. If my screen cap is like all over the place because I'm holding this, and maybe I should actually put this down. So now it's kind of stable. So what you're gonna do now is, right now the screen is way too bright, as you see. So what we're gonna have to do is put some kind of ND filter on it or some type of thing that can darken the actual lens so it can kind of take and compensate for this brightness. So what I have today is literally a pair of sunglasses. So sunglasses here, you can use them. Just make sure you clean it because, you know, it's all dusty. You don't want that in the actual shot. And, oh, speaking of clean, keep the rag clean as well if you can. Don't drop it on the ground like I just did. And what you're gonna do is take your gaff tape. Gaff tape is something that you should always get. This is great. It doesn't leave the sticky residue. Get actual gaff tape, because some people claim that they have gaff tape and it's not. It's actually duct tape. But anyways, I digress. So what you're going to have to do is basically just tape this onto your actual device. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this a little bit, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to take a look at what it actually does to this footage, and you guys can see it right there. I'm just going to look at my phone while I'm doing this. You can just see how clear it is. There is a reflection just because it can't cover the entire thing. I think the lens that's actually bulging out of this 360 is actually hitting the sunglasses. So I'm gonna actually just set it to right there. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Anyways, I got some random people behind me. Don't mind them. But anyway, you kind of see how this works. Now you're probably gonna have to gaff tape the shit out of this thing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just do a real shit job at this. Just make sure I don't cover the actual screen there. And there you have it. This is kind of a ghetto setup as you see here. But you know, no one's gonna actually know how you made this or how you made the footage. As you can see on here, you basically have this, and it's only gonna be on one side now. So what you're gonna have to do is, once you get out of the settings mode, just go into the 150-degree. All right, so I just noticed that when you put it in the 150-degree mode, then what's gonna happen is you're not gonna be able to record in 5K. It's gonna go into the 1440p, and you can only select 30 frames per second. So what you're gonna have to do is go on the 360 mode, and in post, what you can do is select the one side and put it to linear, and then you can focus on one side of the lens. All right, so you're gonna be able to see the footage here. So when I actually, this is what it should look like when there's no sunglass attached to it or no ND. And then when I flip it around, that's what the sunglasses do. It acts like an ND filter, filters that light out a little bit, so you can actually capture the colors and everything. It's still a little bit bright. You can probably use a little bit darker. Right now it's a little bright outside, but otherwise it should be okay. This is a side view, so you'll know how much brightness it is actually without any ND filter or said sunglasses. But yeah, it's pretty insane. All right, so as of right now, the Insta360 ONE X2 does not have an ND filter made by any third party, as far as I know. They do make one, however, for the ONE R, which is kind of like the modular design with the cube. So hopefully they come up with something so I don't have to keep jerry-rigging something like this or an actual ND filter that I have currently on my A6400. So that is pretty much it to get the frame rate to be what it's supposed to be at. And obviously with a bright day like this, it's going to be too bright. All right, let's move on to the next and final step to make your footage cinematic with an Insta360 after you got your shutter speed correct. All right, so I'm honestly going to use this sunglass on it to give you guys an example. But what you want to do is actually have a technique to shooting cinematic footage. Cinematic footage as a technique should go across all different types of cameras. It's based on the skills that you have to control the camera and the movements and the vision that you have to tell the story. So you kind of want to have a close-up, a medium, and a far away shot. And the far away shot is usually something that will establish your shot of where the character is or what subject you're taking, so the viewer knows what environment you're in. And this applies to any camera, not just the Insta360, but this is a certain type of way of shooting to get that so-called cinematic quote-unquote shot. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys like those footages. Now again, just go easy, slow, and steady with cinematic footages and you're going to be getting really good shots. Again, the main thing with this is getting some kind of ND filter on your actual lens so you can have the proper shutter speed to match the frame rate and also to lower that ISO so you don't need to get any noise within the footage, because that is all unnecessary work that you should try to prevent before you try to film anything. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Peace out. Hey, what's up guys? Why do so many people have to come here when I am here? Now I need these sunnies. All right, it's a mess, it's a mess.